प्रभु जी नमस्ते.
The scriptures say that Krishna does not take even a single step out of Vrindavan.
आप थोड़ा ओरिजिन ऑफ श्री कृष्ण प्लीज बताएंगे हमें.
He is the origin of everything and everyone, but he himself does not have an origin.
What are the must read books as one progresses on the spiritual journey? How can I start and what should I go up towards?
But begin with the Gita, and simultaneously also the Bhagavad can be studied. Both are two different books. Sometimes people think they are just one. So Gita is a book by Krishna, Bhagavad is a book about Krishna. Success in spiritual life depends on only one principle. It's not dependent on our financial status, not even our expertise, talents. It is only dependent on one principle: how seriously we are trying to.
अलग अलग तत्व अलग अलग भगवानों के, तो ये सब अलग अलग तत्व बनाए क्यों है?
So once the identity is clear, then everything else will make sense. Why should I study scriptures? Why should I go to temple?
Can you explain concept of Ishta Devatta? प्रभु जी नमस्ते. वेलकम टू द LSM पॉडकास्ट. आज हम बहुत सारी बातें करेंगे श्री कृष्ण के बारे में और मैं सिर्फ सवाल में डूब जाता हूँ. पहले तो मेरा पहला सवाल है कि आप थोड़ा ओरिजिन ऑफ श्री कृष्ण प्लीज़ बताएंगे हमें कि कहाँ से आए, कहाँ उनका जन्म हुआ था और उन लेजेंड ऑफ द ओरिजिन ऑफ श्री कृष्ण.
So if you're talking about Krishna's appearance in this world, then we all know he appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. And this is the information we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But Srimad Bhagavat, which is known as the essence of all scriptures, it only talks about not the details of all the events. Shukadeva Goswami is speaking Srimad Bhagavat to King Parikshit, who is supposed to die in 7 days. So he only spoke about the more important details. But if you read the Puranas, simultaneously Krishna was also born to Yashoda and Devaki. And when Vasudev ji brought Krishna, the Krishna which was born to them, Vasudev Krishna. So when he was Vasudev Krishna, when he was brought to Gokul, Vasudev ji couldn't see. And when he put his Krishna next to Yashoda, the Krishna that he had brought merged with Krishna which was next to Yashoda Mai. So this is an information given by one of the great Vaishnava Acharya scholar Jiva Goswami. He is quoting the Puranas. So that's how Krishna appears in this world. But when we talk about...
So he is kind of born at two places.
Yeah.
And then he merges into one.
Yes. So the original Krishna, which is Vrindavan Krishna, although there is no difference, but the scriptures say that Krishna does not take even a single step out of Vrindavan. So the actual Shyam Sundar Krishna from the spiritual world, because Yashoda and Nanda Baba are his eternal parents. So he appears to Yashoda and Nanda Baba in Gokul. They were not aware because Yashoda Mai was sleeping because of the labor pain after she delivered Krishna. And she gave birth to two, one girl and one boy. So Krishna was simultaneously born in the jail of Mathura and also in Yashoda's house. And then that Krishna came back, Vasudev ji brought that Krishna that merged with this Krishna. And when Krishna actually left Vrindavan at the age of 11 years, 3 months, when Akrur ji took him to kill Kamsa, Kamsa had invited him for a wrestling match. So there is a place in Vrindavan called Akrur Ghat. So Krishna and Balram stopped there. They took a dip in Mathura. They told their uncle Akrura, we want to take bath. So the actual Krishna, the original Krishna, he stayed in Vrindavan only. And the Krishna which came out, that was the Vasudev Krishna. And he went with Akrurji back to Mathura. So of course, these details are not to be understood, cannot be understood simply at the neophyte level. But every bit of information when we talk about God, it must come from the Shastra. It can't come from Google, Wikipedia or WhatsApp. And if we read the scriptures, scriptures give these details. So talking about Krishna's origin, where did he come from? See, the definition of God is that he is the origin of everything and everyone, but he himself does not have an origin. Therefore, Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita, he explains, Ishwaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. That there are many Ishwaras. Ishwar means the controller. The literal meaning of the word Ishwar is controller. So he says there are many controllers. There is Lord Brahma, there is Lord Shiva, there is Indra, there is Chandra, there is Vayu, and we are also Ishwaras to some extent because we also have some control over some people, some places. But he says there are many Ishwaras, but Ishwara Paramaha Krishna. But the Param Ishwar, the supreme controller, is Krishna. And Brahma is the first being within the universe, and he has 4 heads. His body is made up of intelligence element. Our body is made up of mainly earth, but he is made up of intelligence. So naturally his opinion has to be taken seriously. And then he says Satchidananda Vigraha, and Krishna has a body which is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. Anadir Adir Govindaha. He is the origin of everyone and everything, but he himself does not have an origin. Because if Krishna has to have somebody else as his origin, then that origin becomes God by definition, by logic. So God means he has to be the beginning. So Krishna is that beginning, Srimad Bhagavatam explains, and then everything the rest follows. Janmadi asya yataha Vedanta Sutra says that the Lord is the one, God is the one from whom everything emanates. And who is that absolute truth? Who is that God? Srimad Bhagavatam again explains that Krishna is that Swayam Bhagavan. That means he is also the source of other forms of Bhagavan, like Vishnu, Narsingha, Vaman, and other avatars we speak about.
Interesting when you are speaking, 2 directions I want to take. One is बलराम जी के बारे में थोड़ी बात करेंगे, पर उसके पहले आपने बोला कि इतने सारे स्क्रिप्चर्स है, भागवतम है, तो आप ब्रेक डाउन करेंगे कोई स्पिरिचुअल सीकर हो तो what are the must read books as one progresses on the spiritual journey? How can I start and what should I go up towards?
I think the first and foremost is Bhagavad Gita, because that is like the ABCD of spiritual life. Anybody who wants to begin his spiritual life must be very, very well versed with the Bhagavad Gita. It is like the foundation. So if you don't know the Bhagavad Gita, we won't understand any other scripture. It's like when you construct a skyscraper. What is the first thing that is built? That's a foundation. And if the foundation is strong, then you can keep on building as much as you like. So Bhagavad Gita is that foundation. It is the ABCD. And Srimad Bhagavat is then like the graduate study. Srimad Bhagavat is the encyclopedia. So if somebody wants to study the scriptures, there are so many. There are 4 Vedas, 108 Upanishads. There is Vedanta Sutra, which is highly cryptic. We can't understand. Mahabharata, 18 Puranas. So the ideal thing would be just focus on these 2 books if you truly want to have smooth spiritual advancement and realizations, and that is the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. But begin with the Gita, and simultaneously also the Bhagavad can be studied. Both are 2 different books. Sometimes people think they are just one. So Gita is a book by Krishna, Bhagavad is a book about Krishna. Gita has 700 verses, Bhagavad has 18,000. So wherever Gita ends, Bhagavad begins. Because the science of spirituality begins by understanding first who we are. Unless we know who we are, how will we ever know what we are supposed to do? Suppose you don't remember who you are, that you are the owner of so and so company, then you will end up engaging in activities which you are not supposed to be engaging in. So the first thing that needs to be clarified is our identity, and that's what Krishna does in the Bhagavad Gita. First he says, this is what we are spiritual beings, and therefore spiritual life is our natural life, and the more we live it, the more we shall be happy. So once the identity is clear, then everything else will make sense. Why should I study scriptures? Why should I go to temple? Why should I worship God? Why should I pray? Why should I attend sessions? Because that's where we belong. So Gita is that book which establishes that identity and then teaches us also after that what we need to do in advance.
And then after that?
After that, Srimad Bhagavat.
So how should I approach that?
So Gita ends with the ultimate instruction of Krishna where he says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Just take my shelter and I shall free you from sinful reactions. But the Gita ends there. The instructions end there. But then Srimad Bhagavat teaches us how to surrender, how to take shelter. And therefore Bhagavat is higher because it is teaching us the practical application of the principles of the Bhagavad Gita through the lives of great souls. And it is also explaining everything that you want to know.
Who are some of these great souls through the lives of?
Like there is a mention of the Pandavas. There are great kings like Ambarish, Chitraketu. Then there is King Parikshit, Dhruva, Prahlad. All these great personalities are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So everything that we've heard about Krishna till date, all that information is from the Bhagavat. And specifically Krishna, the 10th canto of Bhagavad, it is divided into 12 cantos. It has 90 chapters about the life of Krishna. So everything, how this world is created, what is the purpose, how to surrender, who is God, the different avatars, what will happen in Kali Yuga, who are the personalities who have come in the past, come and gone. And these narrations are very, very auspicious. Even if we don't do anything, simply by hearing these narrations, we get purified of all the vices in the heart. We accumulate so much piety and much more than that.
तो कितना टाइम किसी को निकालना पड़ेगा अगर मैं अभी शुरू कर रहा हूँ? आई एम स्टार्टिंग टू स्टडी भगवद गीता, मेरी नॉर्मल लाइफ है, मैं जॉब कर रहा हूँ एट्सेट्रा. ये जर्नी के लिए कितने साल मुझे डिवोट करने चाहिए, मतलब मेंटली?
See, with the passage of time, people's ability to spend time with the books in general also is decreasing. But if they get into that habit of reading, I feel 70% of their mental health challenges will be gone. So, many years ago, I was chanting and suddenly I realized that after college I have not done the Gita study properly. So, I decided to do it. There are how many verses? 700 verses. So, we have to plan. If we don't plan, mind will not cooperate. Suppose tomorrow you have 5 things to do. So, if you just sleep and then next morning you wake up, or have these 5 things to, whole day it will be like a burden on your head. And then if you plan, okay, 11 to 12 I will do this, 3 to 4 I do this, 2 to 2:30 I do this, then everything is planned. So, mind is free. You don't have to think about these things before 2 o'clock, 3:30 like that. So, I thought, let me just try and study it now. There are 700 verses. I've been thinking about reading it again and again, but it's not happened for so many years. So, let me decide to read 10 verses a day along with the commentary. It will take me max to max half an hour, 40 minutes in a day, which is not much. And if I do it, if I break it down like this, in 2 months my Gita is done. So then I thought, let me ask others also if somebody is interested. I know everybody who's heard about the Gita, they want to read it at least once in their lifetime. So I asked few other people. There are 150 people who came forward, and we formed a WhatsApp group, and everybody had to post done once their study for the day was done. That was also motivating each other. People who were lagging behind, oh, somebody is doing it, done, I must also do it. But then I saw that people, their ability to read is going down. So then I made a podcast where I recorded the entire Gita in small podcast. Each podcast is 20 minutes and covering 6-7 verses. And that's literally took off like anything. So that connected so many people from all over the world. So it is still going strong. Abhi then I made another version last year. So I think when you break down the whole project into small chunks, you can say. Now if I say 1 hour Gita every day, people won't do it. Mind turns work into workload. So then I made it 20 minutes a day. It's not very intimidating and it's doable. And then you are also being shown the end goal. In 2 months your Gita study will be done. So similarly at an individual level also, I think we can break down our study. Even if we study say half an hour every day, we'll end up studying 7 to 10 verses. And it just needs discipline. Like how disciplined we are when we have to go for a walk every morning, go to the gym evening, go to the office, eat at a particular time. Similarly, it also needs discipline. And if we are disciplined, it's not I think a big task. Gita, first we finish the Gita, and then in 2 months your Gita can be done. You sit with the pen and paper, and even if you just one point that made sense to you, just note it down. At the end of your study, you will have maybe 100 points, which are yours, which you will never forget, and which will nourish you always. So 700 verses in the Gita, You choose, okay, I will study 5 in a day. Make it a rule. So in maybe 4 months your Gita will be done. Something that you have not done till now. You have 40, 50 now, and people just have been thinking about it. Discipline, sincerity, determination, and then just breaking the project into small pieces, and then you will see.
That's awesome. I want to share that I did first what you said, and then now I said, let me churn more deeply. So it's taken me 3 years to study 6 chapters. So, but with daily reflection on the same points, and maybe with different points, I guess, as we go around. And then if I go to after Bhagavad Gita, then how much time it will take me? But that will take me a long time, right? 18,000
Yeah,
verses.
but see, our purpose is not to finish.
Complete. It's a parikrama.
Our job is to nourish. Scriptures are endless. So when we are studying, we should not be studying with the mood of an achiever. Oh, what did I learn today? What did I achieve? Oh, I don't remember. I didn't learn anything today. People come for Gita classes. Okay, so what is the learning from this? I mean, not every time you will have to have a learning. Scriptures are studied for 2 reasons, for enlightenment and for the purification of the heart. So enlightenment might or might not be there all the time, because scriptures are addressing a wide variety of audience. Some things might make sense to you, some things might never make sense to you, because they may be meant for somebody else. But purification of the heart is certainly happening. So we are not studying scriptures ke chalo ye bhi ho gaya, wo bhi ho gaya, ye bhi ho gaya, finish. Murder nahi karna hai humko scriptures ka, ye bhi khatam ho gaya, ye bhi ho gaya abhi. We are here to nourish ourselves. This is food for the soul. Even if you can't complete the whole Bhagavad, that's 1 episode is enough to perfect your life. But it should nourish you. So therefore, the purpose is every day we should be taking some time out to study the Bhagavad, to study the Gita. We are not looking at how much we did, but at least half an hour I'm sitting. This is my food for the soul. Like you eat once in a day or thrice in a day. You don't keep eating whole day. And you don't think that क्या खाया था वो याद नहीं आ रहा है कुछ भी. So you eat, it keeps you healthy. So if you spend time with the scriptures and you are learning, you are getting enlightened, you are getting purified, and this activity comes under a karma, it is not producing any karmic reaction. So you have utilized your time, I think, in the best possible way. And this is our duty, to stay connected to the Lord.
Talking about purified life and perfect life, I want to go to next set of questions मुझे पूछने श्रीला प्रभुपाद के बारे में, पर उसके पहले बलराम जी के बारे में थोड़ी बातें करते हैं, बिकॉज आपने कहा था कि मथुरा में दे टुक अ डिप टुगेदर, और कौन थे बलराम जी और उनका सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है?
See, our Vaishnava acharyas have explained how Krishna is at the top, hierarchy is like this, and immediate expansion of Krishna is Balram. So they are in one sense non-different. Duality is world mein hota hai, udhar nahi. So the Lord can expand himself into as many forms as he wants. At the same time they can be equally powerful, but still one is the origin of many others. So it is like this table is full of candles, and then there is one candle which is already lit. You use that candle to light up all the other candles. Now आपको इसमें कोई अंतर दिखेगा candles में? But there was still one candle which lit up all the other candles. So that one candle, original candle, is like Krishna. Duality यहाँ होता है, हम में difference होता है. वहाँ पे भगवान में like Krishna and Vishnu, they are the same people. Vishnu is God at office, Krishna is God at home. But still Krishna is regarded as the origin. If you study the Bhagavad, Vyasadeva has written all the scriptures, right? All the information about God must come from scriptures. Vyasadeva is the one who has written all the scriptures, and Bhagavad is the scripture, and Vyasadeva wrote it at the maturity of his spiritual realization. So the conclusion is found in the Bhagavad, and he mentions many incarnations, and then in the end he says Itecha amsa kalah pumsa krishnastu bhagwan swayam. That all these names that I have mentioned, these are plenary portions, or the portions of plenary portions, but Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, He is Swayam Bhagavan. That means Swayam Bhagavan means he is the source of other forms of Bhagavan that we see. So immediate expansion of Krishna is Balram, and Balram then takes over. He does everything. The spiritual world is created by Balram. That's his energy. All the incarnations.
What do you mean by spiritual world is created by Balram?
The spiritual world, which is where Krishna lives, the spiritual planet Golok, Vrindavan, and everything that is utilized for Krishna's service is considered to be expansion of Balaramji. Balramji is also known as Adi Guru. Adi Guru means एक गुरु का सबसे बड़ा लक्षण क्या होता है कि अपने एग्जाम्पल से वो दिखाता है कि कितना ईगर होना चाहिए भगवान की सेवा के लिए हमको. And Balram ji shows by his example. He creates a spiritual world for Krishna's pleasure, where Krishna can sport. He creates Golok Vrindavan. All the musical instruments played for the glorification of Krishna, or the clothes that Krishna wears, the sacred thread that he wears, the slippers that he wears, Balram ji expands into those things, his ornaments. And when Krishna wants to lie down, sleep, he becomes Ananta Shesh. Krishna wants to lie down in an ocean. So there you can't have a normal bed. You have to have a bed which floats. Then he becomes Ananta Shesh. So Balram से फिर quadruple expansion आता है एक वासुदेव संकर्षण प्रद्युम्न अनिरुद्ध. And from them comes Lord Narayan. From Lord Narayan comes another quadruple expansion, Vasudev Sankarshan Pradyumna Aniruddha. And from Sankarshan come two personalities, Sadashiv and Mahavishnu. Sadashiva is the original Shiva. And then he expands himself as Rudra in this universe. And Mahavishnu is the one who creates the universe. It's like that. The list goes on. Each universe has two Vishnus. So we're not going into that unless you want me to. But essentially, question is about Balram. He is the Adi Guru. He is the original expansion, the immediate expansion of Krishna. And it is he who is in charge of all the services to Krishna. So, but whenever Krishna has to appear in this world, Balramji must come in some capacity. When Krishna expands himself into Vaikuntha and becomes Lord Vishnu, Balramji becomes Ananta Shesh. When he appears as Lord Ram, Balramji comes as Lakshman. When he appears as Krishna, Balramji comes as his elder brother. So 500 years ago, when Krishna came as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Balramji came as Lord Nityananda.
That's why they say Prabhu Nityananda.
So they are inseparable.
Okay.
So there are two same Lord in two forms for the sake of Leelas, pastimes.
And what about Radha Rani then? Because if Balramji is a 1/2. Pardon me if I'm saying wrong, but
yeah, that's fine.
Balramji is 1/2 and then Radha Rani is also 1/2. तो उनका significance थोड़ा आप समझा सकते हैं? In context of Radha Rani, Balramji, Krishna.
Balramji is the, you can say, avatar, the first expansion or avatar of Krishna. Radha Rani is Krishna's own Shakti, internal potency. She is not avatar. She is, ऐसा कहा जाता है कि Krishna is God in male form, Radha Rani is God in female form. So she is the Shakti and Krishna is the Shaktiman. Both are inseparable. Now when they appear in this world, she appears as a cowherd girl, simple cowherd girl, and people think, oh, she's just a gaon ki kuch. But she is the most worshipable personality. Just like Krishna is the source of all the avatars, she is the source of all the goddesses. Okay. She is also non-different from Krishna. She is the Shakti, Krishna is the Shaktiman. And one have become two for the sake of pastimes. And similarly, when both become one again, they appear as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago, who is known as the hidden incarnation of Krishna, he is directly Krishna. But he doesn't look like Krishna because his complexion is golden, because he appears with the complexion and sentiments of Radha Rani. So they are, three personalities are very difficult to comprehend. The scriptures explain. One is the Guru, you can understand his mind. Second is the Ahladini Shakti of the Lord, which is Radha Rani. Ahladini means the pleasure giving potency of the Lord. शी इज़ द इंटरनल पोटेंसी ऑफ द लॉर्ड, अंतरंग शक्ति कहा जाता है उनको। सो दो शक्तियाँ हैं भगवान की, एसेंशियली एक ही है पर दो तरह से देखा जाता है। अंतरंग शक्ति, एक बहिरंग शक्ति, एक्सटर्नल पोटेंसी, इंटरनल पोटेंसी। एक्सटर्नल पोटेंसी इज महामाया हु लुक्स आफ्टर द मटीरियल वर्ल्ड। जो लोग भगवान से विमुख हो चुके हैं उनको थोड़ा सज़ा देना, सुधारना उनको, जस्ट लाइक अ जेलर ट्राइज टू रेक्टिफाई द क्रिमिनल्स। एंड जो डिवोटीज़ हैं they are managed by Radha Rani, Ahladini Shakti. So all the devotees, as Krishna says in the Gita, they are under the protection of his divine energy, which is Radha Rani. She nourishes them. So Radha Rani is the Antaranga Shakti, Mahamaya Durga is the Bahiranga Shakti.
और आप समझा सकते हो, जैसे आपने कहा कि भगवान श्री कृष्ण है और फिर बलराम, एक there was a split and then there were further splits. So when you said Radha Rani is the ultimate goddess, can you explain the lineage of the goddesses also?
So as I said, Radha Rani expands into Lakshmi in the Vaikuntha world. Vaikuntha is below Goloka. Golok Vrindavan is where Radha Krishna stay. Bhagavad gives the whole picture of the creation. And then same thing, then there is Parvati, just like Lord Shiva is, Brahma explains, who is Lord Shiva? He is none other than Lord Sankarshan only, but for the sake of managing the material universe. इसलिए शिव जी को कहा जाता है भुवनेश्वर. He is the master of the material world, and his wife Durga is the mistress or the goddess of the mother of the material universe, material creation. So they are also expansions. So just like milk turns into curd, Lord Brahma gives the example. So कर्ड इज़ मिल्क, एट द सेम टाइम नॉट मिल्क, इट हैज़ डिफरेंट प्रॉपर्टीज़. जो फ़ायदा आप मिल्क से उठा सकते हैं कर्ड से नहीं, कर्ड से उठा सकते, तो दोनों का प्रॉपर्टी अलग है. उसी तरह से कृष्णा एंड शिवा, दे आर साइमल्टेनियसली वन एंड नॉन डिफरेंट. शिवा इज़ लाइक द कर्ड, कृष्णा इज़ लाइक द मिल्क. And this is Brahma saying, I am not saying Lord Brahma. As I said, the information must come from the Shastra. So similarly, राधा रानी एक्सपैंड्स इनटू मैनी गॉडेसेस. अगर उस तरह से देखा जाए, तत्व वाइज थोड़ा डिफरेंस लगता है. शिव तत्व वाइज टोटली डिफरेंट तत्व. सो देयर इज राधा रानी, देयर इज लक्ष्मी, एंड देन देयर इज गॉडेस दुर्गा, देन देयर इज मदर सरस्वती, लाइक दैट. बट ओरिजिनली इट इज राधा कृष्ण एट द टॉप, एंड देन रेस्ट everybody manifests after that, and they play different roles for the sake of maintaining, creating and destroying the
ये तत्व सब अलग क्यों होते हैं? मतलब जैसे आपने कहा कि बिकॉज यही अगर आप देखोगे इस जन्म में या यही युग में अलग अलग तत्व, अलग अलग भगवानों के, तो ये सब अलग अलग तत्व बनाए क्यों गए?
एक तो होता है कि this whole creation is full of variety of tastes. People like to taste different things. So भगवान ने तत्व ऐसे बनाए हैं, जैसे मान लीजिए अगर कृष्ण एक हैं तो विष्णु तत्व क्यों बनाया, विष्णु रूप क्यों बनाया, नरसिंह है, वामन है, श्री राम है, ये सब अवतार है. ऐसा नहीं कि यहाँ आए तभी बने. हर अवतार के स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड में, वैकुंठ में अपना एक प्लैनेट है, और जब जैसे जिसकी ज़रूरत पड़ती है वो आ जाते हैं नीचे. सो आप पूछेंगे कि क्यों बनाया भगवान ने? अलग अलग टेस्ट है सब डिवोटीज़ का. हर कोई थोड़ी कृष्ण की तरफ अट्रैक्ट होगा. किसी को भगवान ऐसे चाहिए कि हाथ में धनुष बाण हो, वॉरियर के रूप में दिखें. किसी को एकदम फिरोशियस लायन के रूप में दिखें. किसी को वराह के रूप में सेवा करनी है, किसी को नारायण के रूप में सेवा करनी है. टेस्ट अलग अलग है सबका. तो उन सबको केटर करने के लिए भगवान ने एक अपना रूप ढाल के रखा है. अभी तत्व की जब बात आती है, शिव तत्व इज टोटली डिफरेंट तत्व. तो लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा एक्सप्लेन फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ डिस्ट्रक्शन, बिकॉज कृष्ण जो है ना वो मैटर को टच नहीं करते. मैटर इज इम्प्योर. मटीरियल वर्ल्ड मैटर इज इम्प्योर. इट डिसइंटीग्रेट्स, इट गेट्स it deteriorates with time. जैसे हमारा body is made up of matter, but when the soul element, which is part and parcel of the Lord, it leaves the body is nothing, becomes impure. It's always impure, only the presence of the soul makes it pure, because if you touch the dead body you have to take bath. It is impure, इसलिए जला दिया जाता है कई बार, ज़्यादातर. So शिव जी का एक रोल है, नॉट जस्ट वन रोल. एक्चुअली आई एम राइटिंग अ बुक ऑन लॉर्ड शिवा, planning to release it in Shravan next year. So उसमें ये सब तत्व मैंने डिस्कस किया है कि why Lord Shiva has a different tattva, what is the role. He is not just playing one role, multiple roles he is playing within the material creation. तो इस material creation को handle करने के लिए एक बहुत powerful personality चाहिए. तो उसके लिए Lord Shiva is the best personality he is handling, therefore he is known as Bhuvaneshwar. इसके लिए आप देखिए, अगर आप शास्त्र पढ़ें, जब भी किसी यूनिवर्स में कोई प्रॉब्लम होता है, the presiding deities of that universe they can go to Lord Brahma. और अगर ब्रह्मा जी से भी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं होता है, then they go to Lord Shiva. और फिर अगर शिव जी भी नहीं कर पाते, तब वो जाके फिर भगवान विष्णु के पास जाते हैं क्षीर सागर में, विद इन दैट यूनिवर्स. बट लॉर्ड शिवा इज़ अ वेरी वेरी पावरफुल पर्सनैलिटी, एंड टू हैंडल दिस मटीरियल यूनिवर्स, टू टेक चार्ज, तो उसके लिए, एंड टू मैनेज many different departments. He is not just playing the role of a destroyer, वो तो दुनिया जानती है, but he is also playing the role of an acharya. He heads one of the Vaishnava Sampradayas. Nobody knows this. Very few people know about this. He is heading Rudra Sampradaya, which is not teaching the path of bhakti towards Rudra. It is a Vaishnava Sampradaya, where he teaches the principles of bhakti. So he is also acting as an acharya to guide people towards God, to guide people towards Krishna, like Vallabha Sampradaya is an offshoot from that Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. So similarly, he is also the destroyer. He is also in charge of the mode of ignorance. There are three gunas active in this world: goodness, passion, ignorance. So he is in charge of the mode of ignorance. तो इसी तरह से he is playing many roles. He is the lord of the ghost. भूतनाथ हैं, क्यों हैं? Because he is compassionate. He wants to help them also by his association. He is the most compassionate personality. So like that, he is playing many roles, and essentially to handle the material creation, Lord Krishna has expanded into Lord Shiva as a different tattva. Because just like milk, when it comes in touch with lemon or lime, it turns into curd, chemicals, किसी के touch में आता है. उसी तरह से Krishna does not directly intervene or touch matter or material world. So he expands, and when he comes in touch with matter, he turns into Shiva. But a different tattva altogether then. Very mysterious personality,
Yeah,
third
there's
personality.
a lot to unpack here, and I guess it takes many years of reading to understand. Thank you for sharing. The person who has unpacked a lot for the world we know today, Srila Prabhupada. शायद पॉपुलर डिस्कोर्स में यूथ के अमंगस्ट श्रीला प्रभुपाद की कम चर्चा होती है आजकल. तो मैं आपको ये सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ कि अगर आप हमें थोड़ा बता सकते हैं श्रीला प्रभुपाद के बारे में, हिज ओरिजिन, हाउ ही गॉट अट्रैक्टेड टू द प्रोसेस ऑफ स्पिरिचुअलिटी. और मैंने पढ़ा है कि उनके लास्ट 11 years ऑफ हिज लाइफ वॉज ट्रांसफॉर्मेशनल in terms of the wheels he churned. So if we can talk a bit about that, and what are the lessons for us from Srila Prabhupada?
Srila Prabhupada जी का जन्म हुआ था, you'll be pleasantly surprised to know, his birthday and Krishna's birthday every year is celebrated together. Because Krishna is born at night, so रात को तो जन्मदिन नहीं मनाया था, अगले दिन जन्मदिन मनाया नंद बाबा ने, which is called नंदोत्सव. और नंदोत्सव के दिन ही प्रभुपाद जी का भी जन्म हुआ है. एंड जब उनका जन्म हुआ था, वन एस्ट्रोलॉजर हैड प्रेडिक्टेड दैट व्हेन दिस चाइल्ड टर्न्स 70 ही विल क्रॉस द ओशंस एंड ही विल ओपन 108 टेम्पल्स. तो वो प्रेडिक्शन उसी समय था. सो ही ग्रू अप in a household where his father was a pure devotee of Krishna in Kolkata, and he would see his father every night coming back from his shop, and at 11 o'clock in the night he would ring the bell, he would worship his deities. तो उनको देख देख के प्रभुपाद जी ने एक दिन कहा, बच्चे थे, अभय नाम था उनका, मुझे भी मेरे deities चाहिए. तो उनको स्पेशल राधा कृष्णा deities ला के दिए. तो उनके जहाँ वो रहते थे उसी में राइट अक्रॉस द स्ट्रीट वाज अ टेम्पल कॉल्ड राधा गोविंद टेम्पल. तो वहाँ जाके घंटों राधा कृष्ण को निहारते रहते थे, देखते रहते थे. वो जो डिवोशन था वो बचपन से ही था, पहले से ही था. फिर जो रथ यात्रा होता है जगन्नाथ जी का पुरी में 9 दिन तक चलता है, तो प्रभुपाद जी अपने उस घर के आसपास उस कम्युनिटी में पूरा 9 दिन वो रथ यात्रा करते थे, छोटा सा रथ बनवाते थे, सब दिन प्रसाद बंटता था, पूरा जो मोहल्ला कह सकते हैं सब आके मिलके उसमें पूरा डूब जाते थे. He would perform Rath Yatra when he was a little child. And we know later on he is the one who popularized the Rath Yatra all over the world. Now in every corner of the world Rath Yatras are happening. Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra. So as he was growing up, so he was studying in a, I think, Scottish Churches College. And he was following the Gandhian movement, and especially that movement reject everything that was British. So he did not accept his degree, लिया ही नहीं उस college से. He used to wear khadi. And उनके घरों में बचपन से उन्होंने देखा था, his father would invite sadhus home, which has been an Indian culture. आजकल तो कोई सोचता नहीं है, but it's very very important to keep inviting saintly people home and feed them, serve them for blessings. So
सॉरी, तो ये उनका बर्थ ईयर कौन सा था?
1896.
ओके. और श्रीला प्रभुपाद और महात्मा गांधी एक दूसरे को जानते थे?
No, no, no. They didn't know each other. But the movement was strong at that time,
Right.
against the British. So he was in Kolkata, and Kolkata was the capital of the British. So action packed. So he used to wear khadi. And इनके जो father थे regularly साधुओं को बुलाते थे. And he would only ask for one benediction from them, that please bless that my son becomes a pure devotee of Radha Rani. Radha Rani का शुद्ध भक्त बने. एक ही blessing मांगते थे. And his father taught him how to play mridanga. His mother would tell his father that ये क्या आप सिखा रहे हैं? बोले नहीं नहीं, ये सब उसको बाद में काम आएगा. So Prabhupada बोले के बाद में he told his disciple, perhaps my father knew what I was going to do. And during his college days he wanted to get married to a girl who was a Kashmiri girl, beautiful girl. So Prabhupada said, no, you get married to this girl. This will be helpful for you when you take sannyas in the future. So somehow either his father, I think, had known the future of his child. So one fine day he was walking with his friend. Among his friends he had a very very powerful, influential position. So if their friends had to do something, it had to be verified by Abhay. So there was a saintly person in Kolkata at that time visiting. There is a place called Ulta Danga. It's beautifully developed now by ISKCON. You can visit sometime. That's where the seed of this whole ISKCON movement was sown. So his friend told him, चलो एक साधु से मिल के आते हैं, बहुत अच्छा साधु. बोले नहीं नहीं, बचपन से देखा है सब साधुओं को, सब ढोंग वोंग बहुत होता है. So उन्होंने बोला नहीं नहीं, but this sadhu seems to be different. So he literally dragged him by the hand. चलो चलो मिल के आते हैं. तो टेरेस पे गए, वहाँ पे बैठे थे. He just bowed down, उनको प्रणाम करने के लिए, उठे भी नहीं थे. और उनके जो फ्यूचर गुरु Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was known as the Lion Guru, very powerful personality. He said, you are an educated young man, why don't you preach this message in English language to the Western world? अभी मीटिंग भी हुआ नहीं है, आके सिर्फ प्रणाम किया, उठे भी नहीं, और लाइफ टाइम का इंस्ट्रक्शन मिल गया उनको. एंड ही सेड, बट हु विल लिसन टू योर लॉर्ड चैतन्य's message? We are a dependent nation, let us first get independence. So his guru told him that, see, governments will come and go, but Krishna consciousness is an emergency, it cannot wait. And then they had an argument, and Abhay, Srila Prabhupada, was thoroughly defeated and later told his disciples that I was very happy to be defeated. And then and there itself, in his heart, he accepted Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Ji as his guru. And he continued to serve, living in Grihastha life for a long time. And then just 2 weeks before his guru left this world, he wrote another letter to Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Ji, his guru, that your brahmachari disciples, sannyasi disciples stay with you in the ashram, they are serving you so much. How can I be of some service to you? Although he was doing a lot as a grihastha. Again, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Ji repeated that instruction, that please try to push this movement in English language in the Western world. So Prabhupada, at that time, he was not ready to take sannyas, and every time every now and then he would get a dream where his guru would appear and he says, Abhay, what are you doing? Leave home, take sannyas. But he would wake up shaken. How can I leave my family, my children? And then circumstances somehow were such that you can read it in his biography, that one day he just left, took sannyas, and tried to start the movement in Jhansi, then ultimately went to Vrindavan, spent a lot of time preparing to go to the West. He had no money. He was living at a place called Radha Damodar Mandir, which is one of the most famous temples of Vrindavan, and his rooms are still very well kept, like a holy place for all of us, where he used to write, because another instruction his guru had given him, that if you ever get money, print books. And he was writing, and there he wrote the commentary on the first canto of Bhagavad. There he wrote the manuscript of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And he would eat only once a day, cook himself.
For 45 minutes.
Yeah, almost. He was cooking every day. Sometimes he would take Mahaprasad from the temple, but mostly he was only cooking. He had no money, no help. And the rooms were very, very,
yeah, in his room there's that photo of him cooking. So they said 45 minutes.
Yeah, so he had no money. He single-handedly somehow would collect little donation, whatever comes. He would then go to Delhi in a train. He would keep full account of what was being spent. He would go to the printer, proofread, edit. Then after the magazines were printed, he was doing magazines at that time. Back to Godhead magazine. He started, I think, in 1945.
Still prints, right?
Yeah. And then he would go and stand on the streets of Delhi in the hot summer also, trying to distribute those magazines. One day he just had a heat stroke. He fell down. He was hit by a bull. He was unconscious for 3 hours. So that's the kind of struggle he went through before this. Now people glorify ISKCON for 600, 700 temples that we have all over the world. But this is the kind of struggle he went through. He had no money. Once there was an opportunity to go to Japan for a conference, but he had no money, he couldn't go. He had written one special book for that conference, Light of the Bhagawat, very beautiful book, which describes the rainy season in Vrindavan from Bhagawat. He couldn't go. But one thing is, Prabhupada never felt discouraged. He just continued to work hard, because he read in one of the commentaries in the Bhagavad Gita that one must take the orders of his guru as his life and soul. And therefore his guru had told him that you must preach this message in the Western world in English language. So he thought, I must try. At least at the end of my life, I will not have the regret of not even trying. Success depends on Guru and Krishna, but I must keep trying. And this is the nature of spiritual life. In spiritual life, we get marks not for the results. We get marks for trying. If we have tried enough, we are successful. We get 100 out of 100 from Krishna. So he tried, and it was only in 1965 that he got a free passage on a cargo ship, which was by Scindia Steamship Company, due to the magnanimity of I forgot that lady's name, Sumati Morarji. She agreed to make all the arrangements, and on a cargo ship. Prabhupada at that time was 70-year-old. At that time he left.
That's when he set foot.
That's when he left. So that's the time when people generally retire to Vrindavan, never to leave. That's the time he left Vrindavan to fulfill his Guru's order. So he was not attached to any place. He was only attached to fulfilling his Guru's order. And that one attachment, that one dedication made him successful in such a short span of time. Because success in spiritual life depends on only one principle. It's not dependent on our financial status, not even our expertise, talents. It is only dependent on one principle: how seriously we are trying to execute the instructions of our spiritual master. That's it. If somebody is trying, Krishna will empower him beyond his capacity. So then he That journey is also very interesting. There is a diary, Jaladuta diary. Jaladuta was the name of the ship. And if you read that diary, you will just continue to cry, because we get very, we go insane if our flight is late by half an hour also. He is going on a cargo ship. It was to be 40 days long journey, 38 to 39 days long journey. Sometimes the cargo ship was stuck in one place in the middle of the ocean for 3 days, outside the port for 4 days, not moving for hours, seasickness, vomiting, heart attack. He writes in the diary. And he wrote all these things not to get published. He didn't even know. Later on, after he passed away, this diary was found by disciples and then they published it. And he writes, so when he got the second heart attack on board that ship, he was worried about his mission. Okay, what will I do? I have not been able to do anything. And he writes, on that night he had a dream where he saw Krishna with his incarnations. He had taken charge of the ship. And Krishna was doing like this, don't worry, you come. So that gave him hope that Krishna is in charge and he has some plan. So he reaches in 1965. For 1 full year, there was no success.
So he had a heart attack on the ship?
Twice.
And then how was he cured?
It just miraculously he survived. He was very concerned, and that's when he had that dream. He was anxious, he was worried about his mission. That's when he writes in the diary he had that dream, which was not made public until he passed away. It was in his diary only. He never shared it with his disciples also. So 1 full year he had no success. And then the place he was staying in, it used to stink. Hippie revolution at the time, 70-year-old man, and the hippies had a slogan, do not trust anybody above 30. They used to be in Tompkins Square parks and all those places. They were just living a free life. If you want to wear clothes, you wear, otherwise if you don't like, you don't wear. Drugs. And their slogan was, stay high. So they were trying drugs. They were from affluent backgrounds. And here is 70-year-old saint from Vrindavan living in this dirty place. I mean, what to speak of living there, even if you just read the description of that place where he was living. I mean, we would start crying. And then he would go to the park. He would sit with his drum and start singing, Hare Krishna, and no mic, no amplifier. And gradually all these hippies started gathering, and he started classes thrice a week, kirtans. And when the hippies would come, they were almost sometimes half conscious. And he would personally cook for them. He would serve them personally. Then after they were gone, he would clean the place also. And nobody was paying him. It was only out of compassion. It was because it's Guru's order. And gradually, people suddenly, as they felt purified, as they got purified by hearing, chanting, prasad, then they suddenly developed the desire to serve. Okay, can we assist you, Swamiji, in some way? And that's how things started and snowballed. Yeah. Within 11 years, he was able to establish this worldwide movement, which is still going strong by God's grace. So the one important thing that we learn from Prabhupada's life is, yes, if you sincerely try to follow the instructions of your Guru, you will be successful by Krishna's grace. Krishna will empower you beyond your capacity. So the success lies in trying our best. And second thing, whenever Prabhupada was asked, what made you so successful within such a short time? He always had one answer. And he writes in his poem also when he reached Boston, his faith in the holy name of Krishna. The name of Krishna is not different from Krishna. And anybody who has faith in Krishna's names will also be able to achieve the impossible. Simply, therefore, he used to go sit in the park. He would close his eyes and simply start singing his names. And that brought the whole world to him. So Krishna's name has that potency. Kirtan, Krishna's name, chanting or singing. Anybody who has faith in Krishna's name will be able to achieve anything that he desires, material or spiritual.
If you have to break the word down.
Kirtan comes from the word kirti. Kirti means glory and kirtan means glorification. So Kirtan, there are various types of Kirtan, Leela Kirtan, Nam Kirtan, like that. But here we are specifically referring to, now when you speak about Krishna Katha, speaking about Krishna's pastimes, his Leelas, that is also Kirtan. And singing his names is also Kirtan. And among all types of Kirtan, all forms of Kirtan, Nam Kirtan is considered to be the supreme. When you are singing his name, you are singing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you are singing. So Kirtan can be alone and together also. Sankirtan means when many people come together and sing the names loudly. And Kirtan also means, Sankirtan also means when all your senses, your intelligence, your power of speech, they are totally absorbed in chanting the Lord's names, because all the senses have come together now to glorify Krishna by chanting his name. So individually also you are doing Kirtan, and if you get the opportunity, which is much more powerful, in the association of other devotees, other people, you sing the Lord's names loudly, and that has immense power. The name is everything. Krishna has invested all his powers, his energy, his blessings in his name. These two things made him the most successful person in the history of the world, I think, within such a short span of time, establishing a worldwide movement which is going strong even after 50 years of his departure and expanding. So only these two things, faith in the instructions of his Guru, or sincerity in executing the instructions of his Guru, and faith in the holy name.
Now, I want to also ask a bit about Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna and their dualities in a way. So, if we see it as a multiverse, if I may, we have seen that Lord Shiva plays a role in the Lord Krishna multiverse. Is there a role that Lord Krishna plays in the Lord Shiva multiverse?
Yes, we do see that. Like you see, when Lord Krishna appears as Lord Ram, he is worshipping Lord Shiva. So Krishna has also shown how Lord Shiva is worshipable. They are inseparable. So therefore you find both of them will always be living close to each other. Wherever there is Krishna temple, there will be a prominent Shiva temple close by. You go to Badrinath, there is Kedarnath. Go to Jagannath Puri, there is Bhuvaneshwar. You go to Dwarka, there is Somnath. You go to Rameshwaram, then that's of course Lord Ram and Lord Shiva's place together. So wherever you, Triambakeshwar, there is Panchavati. So they are very closely connected. And in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, you also see when the Samudra Manthan is happening and the Halahal wish comes out, which is going to destroy the 3 worlds. So Lord Vishnu could have done it himself, but he, just like you have a son, you would like your son to be glorified more, or the someone whom you love the most would like to be glorified, because Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna, they have a very special relationship, Lord Shiva. So Lord Vishnu said, okay, let's go to Lord Shiva and we request him to save us from this situation. And Lord Shiva then drinks up the entire ocean of poison. He concentrates it and drinks it, but he holds it in his neck, therefore he gets the name Nilakantha. When the Samudra Manthan Leela is over, Lord Vishnu had taken the form of Mohini Murti, very attractive girl, to bewilder the demons. And Lord Shiva is so attracted, he starts running behind Mohini Murti. And then in the 10th canto, we find sometimes Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva, they are fighting against each other to save each other's devotee, duty bound. So Lord Shiva releases his Pashupatastra and Krishna releases his Narayanastra, and how then Lord Shiva reveals the real reason why he was fighting. And there's another incident.
What is the real reason why he was fighting?
Lord Shiva says in the Bhagavad that I was simply fighting because I know I will be defeated. I just wanted the world to know that I am subservient to you in this role. So you find these verses in the Bhagavad. But essentially, as I said, Lord Brahma says, they are one person in two different roles. Like Lord Krishna is like the milk, Lord Shiva is like the curd, and they are inseparable. So they will always be living close to each other, and whenever the Lord has a mission, Lord Shiva always has a very, very important role to play. Like when he came as Ram, Lord Shiva's expansion came as Hanuman. Hanuman ji is an expansion of Shiva, Shankar. So yes, when Krishna is born in Vrindavan, Lord Shiva is one of those personalities who comes to see him. It's a very, very interesting episode. So Lord Shiva comes, and Mother Yashoda, when she sees him, she said, तुमको मैं अपने बच्चे को देखने नहीं दूंगी, because he was wearing ashes all over his body, snakes around his neck, matted hair, त्रिशूल, तुमको नहीं दिखाऊंगी मैं. लॉर्ड शिवा सोचने लगी, अरे इतनी दूर से आया कैलाश से, तो बहुत बोला, लेकिन यशोदा माई नहीं मानी. तो शिव जी बोलते हैं, ठीक है, अगर आप नहीं दिखाएंगे मुझे कृष्ण को तो मैं यहीं बैठ जाऊंगा. आप नहीं लेके आएंगे तो कुछ सालों में बड़ा तो होगा, तो खेलने कूदने के लिए तो यहीं से निकलेगा ना बाहर, मैं तब तक यहाँ बैठ के प्रतीक्षा करूँगा. आई विल वेट टिल देन. यशोदा माई ने बोला, वो भी नहीं होने दूंगी, मैं उसको पीछे से, घर के पीछे से दरवाज़ा बना दूंगी, उधर से खेलेगा, उधर से वापस आएगा, तुम्हारे सामने नहीं आने दूंगी, तुमको देखे तो डर जाएगा. So then he gets very, very disappointed. He goes away, starts performing tapasya. Meanwhile, here Krishna continues to cry. He starts crying and continues. So सब सोचने लगे क्या हो गया. Then somebody tells, maybe वो जो एक बाबा आए थे, कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं हो गया. बोले, यशोदा माई ने बोला, ढूंढ के लाओ उनको. तो एक जगह है वृंदावन में, नंदगांव में, आशेश्वर महादेव, वहाँ मिले, क्योंकि शिव जी वहाँ तपस्या करने बैठे थे, आशा लेके कृष्ण की दर्शन के लिए, तो इसके लिए उनका नाम पड़ गया आशेश्वर महादेव. तो जब आए तो कृष्णा को जैसे ही लेके आई यशोदा माई, कृष्णा एकदम चुप हो गए, स्माइल करने लगे. यशोदा माई टोल्ड लॉर्ड शिवा दैट शी डिडंट नो इट इज़ लॉर्ड शिवा, शी थॉट इट्स ए जोगी, कोई साधु हैं. तो आपको देख के मेरा बच्चा चुप हो गया, तो आप ना यहीं मेरे घर में ही रहो, और जब भी मेरा बेटा रोएगा आपके सामने ले आऊँगी, चुप हो जाएगा. तो शिव जी ने भी कहा, ठीक है रहूँगा, लेकिन एक शर्त है, दैट जो भी इनको खिलाएंगे आप, उसी प्लेट में से मुझे लाके खाना देना बाद में, इनके खाने के बाद. सो इसी तरह नंदीश्वर के रूप में वहाँ एस्टैब्लिश हो गए. सो लॉर्ड शिवा इज़ ऑल्सो द गार्डियन ऑफ द धाम. वृंदावन में ही स्टेशनड हिमसेल्फ इन 5 डिफरेंट प्लेसेस टू प्रोटेक्ट वृंदावन. मथुरा में है भूतेश्वर महादेव, गोवर्धन में है चकलेश्वर महादेव, कामेवन में एज कामेश्वर महादेव, नंदगांव में एज नंदीश्वर महादेव, एंड वृंदावन में एज गोपेश्वर महादेव. तो 5 जगह पे ही एस्टैब्लिश्ड हिमसेल्फ. तो इसी से हमको पता चल जाता है कि कितना स्ट्रॉन्ग बॉन्ड है दोनों के बीच में. तो इसके लिए जो लोग लड़ते हैं कृष्ण शिव जी के नाम पे, आई थिंक दैट इज़ प्रेटी इमेच्योर. उनका बॉन्डिंग बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है, और हम लोग यहाँ लड़े बैठे हैं, ये सुप्रीम वो सुप्रीम, इसको मानो उसको. अरे आप उसको मानो जो इसको मानता है, इसको मानने दो, लगे रहो.
That's my next question. जैसे एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता है इष्ट देवता का,
हाँ.
कि मेरा लगाव किससे है. तो क्या ऐसा होता है कि हर एक व्यक्ति का एक अलग अलग लगाव हो सकता है, वो अलग अलग रूप से एक लगाव लगा सकते हैं, बिकॉज यू सेड कि डिवाइन हैज़ क्रिएटेड सो मेनी डिफरेंट वेज फॉर अस टू रीच द डिवाइन. सो इष्ट देवता, कैन यू एक्सप्लेन कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ इष्ट देवता?
सी इष्ट देवता, अभी देवताओं की बात आती है. अभी कुछ लोगों के कुल देवता नरसिंह देव हैं, जो भगवान ही हैं साक्षात. किसी के हो सकते हैं कोई
सॉरी, कुल देवता और इष्ट देवता के बीच में थोड़ा ब्रेक डाउन करना पड़ेगा ऑडियंस के लिए.
नहीं, कुछ होते हैं ना कि हमारे कुल में उनकी वर्शिप होती हुई आ रही है,
मतलब जहाँ से मैं हूँ.
इष्ट देव कुल देव एक ही बात है. हमारे मेन वर्शिपेबल डीटी इष्ट देवता में, जिनकी हम आराधना करते हैं. तो पॉइंट ये है कि कोई भी हो, लेकिन उनकी सेवा करने वाला कोई जो वर्शिपर है, अगर वो सिंसियर है अपनी वर्शिप में, प्योर हार्ट से वर्शिप कर रहा है, तो देन दैट इष्ट देवता विल डेफिनेटली गाइड हिम टू द हाईएस्ट रियलाइजेशन. वहाँ तक लेके आ जाएगा. कितने सारे शिव भक्त हैं जो आज कृष्ण भक्त बने हुए हैं. मैं खुद शिव भक्त था, अभी भी मानता हूँ उनको. उसी तरह शिव जी ने वल्लभाचार्य जी, नरसिंह मेहता, गुजरात के जो बड़े संत हुए, वैष्णव संत, उनको रास्ता दिखाया। तुलसीदास जी को रामायण लिखने की प्रेरणा शिव जी ने दिया, इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया लिखने का। फिर ऐसे भी इंसिडेंट से कहाँ कोई वर्शिप कर रहा है सरस्वती जी की, सरस्वती जी गाइडेड हिम टू लॉर्ड कृष्णा। सो ये है कि जो जो आराधना कर रहा है, शिव भगवान कृष्ण खुद बोलते हैं गीता में कि जो जिस वर्शिप में लगा हुआ है उसको डिस्टर्ब मत कीजिए, बिकॉज उनके हिसाब से वो सही है। रादर अपने एग्जाम्पल से दिखाइए कि सही रास्ता क्या है या कोई दूसरा रास्ता है, देयर इज़ अ बेटर वे, नॉट लाइक टेलिंग देम you are what you're doing is rubbish, this is the only way. No, that's immaturity. वो अपने लेवल पे, आप अपने लेवल पे हैं। अगर आपको लगता है तो आप अपने एग्जाम्पल से प्रेरणा दीजिए उनको एंड दिखाइए एंड लेट देम फील इंस्पायर्ड। बट माई टेक ऑन दिस इज दैट इफ somebody is sincere to the path, like Prabhupada ji, he used to say that if you are a Christian, be a good Christian, if you are a Muslim, be a good Muslim. कि अगर कोई अपने रास्ते पे सिंसियरली, फेनाटिसिज्म नहीं, कोई सिंसियरली सीकर है, सीख कर रहा है द एब्सोल्यूट ट्रुथ, तो चाहे वो किसी की भी आराधना कर रहा है, एक दिन वही देवता उसको लाके हाईएस्ट रियलाइजेशन दे ही देंगे। जो रियल अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वहाँ तक उसको ले ही आएंगे वो, एज ए गिफ्ट टू दैट पर्सन। सो इसके लिए जो जहाँ है उसी से, वहाँ से उस लेवल से प्रे कर सकता है कि माय डियर लॉर्ड, आई एम कन्फ्यूज, आई डोंट नो हु यू आर और whether you are there or not, but if you are there, please guide me, I am confused. वहाँ से उसको गाइडेंस मिलेगा। जो जिस लेवल पे है वहाँ से प्रे करे, वहाँ से गाइडेंस मांगे, और जिस देवता को आराधना कर रहे हैं, ओके, कैन यू प्लीज़ गाइड मी विद द राइट अंडरस्टैंडिंग टू द राइट पाथ, द हाईएस्ट पाथ, ऐसा प्रे कीजिए एंड यू विल बी गाइडेड।
और आज के तारीख में मेडिटेशन, ध्यान करना यूथ के लिए कितना ज़रूरी है और क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट है? इन सब चीज़ों में लिंक करके, जैसे आपने श्रीला प्रभुपाद की स्टोरी बताई, इष्ट देवता के बारे में बताया, इन सब चीज़ों में मेडिटेशन का रोल क्या होता है, ध्यान का रोल क्या होता है, और व्हाई इज़ इट इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर यूथ ऑफ टुडे?
देखिए, मेडिटेशन, ध्यान, सबसे पहली बात है किस पे कर रहे हैं। हर युग के लिए, वी आर लिविंग इन कलयुगा, the spiritual practice changes, and spiritual practice is required to realize the ultimate goal of human life, which is self-realization, God realization. Because otherwise Mahabharata says dharmena hina pashubhi samana. If there is no strong spiritual culture in a person's life, he is no better than an animal. क्यों बोला जा रहा है ये? क्योंकि एनिमल्स का गोल क्या होता है लाइफ में? ईटिंग, स्लीपिंग, मेटिंग एंड डिफेंडिंग। खाओ, पियो, सो जाओ, और जो है उसकी रक्षा करो, कुछ खतरा आ जाए बचाओ अपने आप को। उनका पूरा एनर्जी इसी में जाता है, दिन रात, खाने में, सोने में, हैविंग अ फैमिली, उनका देखभाल में लग जाओ, और कुछ खतरा आए तो बचाओ अपने आप को, उसमें ही पूरा एनर्जी। तो ह्यूमन बींग्स एनर्जी इज ऑल्सो सेंटर्ड अराउंड दीज 4 एक्टिविटीज ओनली, और स्पेंट ऑन दीज 4 थिंग्स ओनली। ही इज नो बेटर देन एन एनिमल। जस्ट दैट वी आर डूइंग इट इन अ मोर पॉलिश्ड वे डजंट मेक अस एनी बेटर। सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन इज़ द गोल ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ। USP है ह्यूमन बॉडी का, बाकी स्पीशीज़ में ये फैसिलिटी अवेलेबल नहीं है। एंड टू रियलाइज दैट देर आर प्रोसेसेस। व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट मेडिटेशन, बट मेडिटेशन ऑन whom? हर युग में स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिस बदलता है। तो कृते यद ध्यायतो विष्णु, सतयुग का प्रोसेस था मेडिटेशन ऑन द फॉर्म ऑफ द लॉर्ड विष्णु। त्रेतायाम यजतो मुखे, त्रेता युग में हो गया यज्ञ। द्वापरे परिचर्यायाम, द्वापर में हो गया टेम्पल वर्शिप विद पंक्चुअलिटी, क्लीनलीनेस। कलौ तद हरि कीर्तनात्, इन कलियुगा द प्रोसेस इज हरि कीर्तन, द नेम ऑफ द लॉर्ड। सो इफ यू हैव टू मेडिटेट ऑल्सो, देन प्लीज मेडिटेट ऑन द नेम ऑफ द लॉर्ड। सो somebody is sick, so he goes to the medical shop and he says कोई दवाई दो यार, कुछ तो रोग हो गया। बोले कौन सा? तो कोई भी दे दो ना, वो देखो पिंक वाला अच्छा है, मुझे पिंक अच्छा लगता है, पिंक वाला दे दे। कोई बोले नहीं मेरा तो फेवरेट कलर ब्लू है, वो दे दे। उससे तो आदमी उल्टा मर सकता है। क्योर कब होगा? जो प्रिस्क्रिप्शन डॉक्टर ने लिख के दिया उसके अनुसार जब वो दवाई ले। सिमिलरली द प्रिस्क्रिप्शन इज देयर इन द स्क्रिप्चर्स कि कौन सा स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिस है जो सबसे ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव होगा इस युग में, वो क्लियरली लिखा गया। इट इज़ ओनली द नेम, बृहन नारदीय पुराण में लिखा गया है, हरेर नाम एव केवलम कलौ नास्त्येव 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 गतिरन्यथा. And 3 times, हरेर नाम, हरेर नाम, हरेर नाम. Only the name of Hari, only the name of Hari, only the name of Hari. Eva, certainly, kevalam, only, kalau in Kali Yuga, nastiev, nastiev, nastiev. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way to attain perfection. So meditation वगैरह ज़रूरी है, spiritual practice in general ज़रूरी है to realize the goal of life, to become a human being. That means having a spiritual connection with God. And the process to realize this is in Kali Yuga mantra meditation. And which mantra? That mantra which has the names of God. Therefore we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, because Kali Santaran Upanishad, Brahmand Puran mein, this mantra is mentioned specifically for this yuga. So therefore we chant it. Yes, it is important because this connects us to our roots. This brings us back to our natural environment, because our natural environment is spiritual. And the more we live it, the more we'll be peaceful. So in a sense, to become happy, more peaceful, yes, this is required.
Got it. And my last couple of questions I want to break down for the user. Karma yoga और कर्म, जैसे कहते हैं संचित कर्म, प्रारब्ध कर्म, इन दोनों में फर्क क्या है? Because word karma is used quite interchangeably. So I want to just touch upon that little bit as a final.
कर्मा और कर्म योगा. कर्मा इज एक्शन. कुछ भी आप काम करें, जैसे आप पानी भी पी रहे हैं कर्म है, खाना खा रहे हैं कर्म है, आप पैसा कमा रहे हैं कर्म है. योगा जब उसमें शब्द जुड़ जाता है, योगा का अर्थ होता है जुड़ना, टू लिंक, टू कनेक्ट, टू ज्वाइन. And when we use the word to link, to connect, that means there must be at least 2 objects involved. So वो है भगवान, हम और भगवान. तो कर्म योगा तभी बनता है जब हमारा एक कर्म हमको भगवान से जुड़ने में सहायता करे. When our karmas, our actions are helping us connect with God, then our karma becomes karma yoga. Then it becomes free from karmic reaction. But if it is not karma yoga, simply karma, then it will lead to bondage, it will have karmic reactions. बोलते हैं ना, जैसी करनी वैसी भरनी, as you sow, so shall you reap. That is karma, the science of karma. But karma yoga means when our actions are related to God consciousness, they are performed in God consciousness, then they don't produce any further karma, rather they also help us deal with the previous karmas, the reactions to previous karmas. So that is the difference.
So what is the action in God consciousness? Let's say अगर हम थोड़ा ब्रेक डाउन कर सके कि व्हाट इज, अगर मैं एक्ट कर रहा हूँ गॉड कॉन्शियसनेस में, व्हाट आर द साइंस आई शुड लुक फॉर कि हाँ मैं गॉड कॉन्शियसनेस में ही एक्ट कर रहा हूँ?
इट्स वेरी सिंपल. जैसे मैंने एक चीज़ बताई, खाना खाते हैं हम लोग, सबको अच्छा लगता है, सो दैट इज़ कर्मा, कर रहे हैं. इट विल हैव रिएक्शंस, बिकॉज किसने बनाया है, कैसे बनाया जा रहा है, उसका एनर्जी, उसका कर्मा उसमें जाता है. वी आर व्हाट वी ईट. बट वही खाना जब भगवान को भोग लगा के खाया जाता है, इट बिकम्स कर्मा फ्री डाइट, देन इट बिकम्स कर्म योगा. आप एक बड़े घर में रहते हैं, हाँ, तो उसमें ही छोटा सा स्थान एक भगवान के लिए भी रखिए, वेयर अ फैमिली रेगुलरली कम्स टुगेदर टू मेक हिम द सेंटर ऑफ योर एक्टिविटी. maybe once in a week also the whole family comes together. Individually people are spending some time to serve the Lord. So because ये घर जो है आपके कर्मों का फल है ना, तो उस फल को आप यूज़ कर रहे हैं भगवान की सेवा में भी. You are earning money, utilizing a portion of that to engage in his seva, to serve him, to glorify him. Then your karma becomes karma yoga. तो आप क्या कर रहे हैं, आपके कर्मों के जो फल हैं, you have some name and fame in society. Utilizing that name and fame in society to increase Krishna's fame, then your karma becomes karma yoga. जो आपके पास है उसमें भगवान को जोड़ लेना, किसी भी कार्य में उसके फल को भगवान की सेवा की तरफ लगा देना. Then everything that you do becomes karma yoga. And Krishna says that any act which is not done as a yajna means for the pleasure of Yajneshwar, where Yajneshwar की presence उसमें नहीं है, will simply cause bondage. यज्ञ अर्थात कर्मणो अन्यत्र लोको अयम कर्म बंधन, कर्म बंधन का कार्य करता है. तो उससे क्या होता है, मान लीजिए आपको बांध दिया जाए तो आपका फ्रीडम इज चेक्ड, आप नहीं कर पाएंगे जो करना चाहते हो। कर्म का बंधन क्या होता है कि आप लाइफ में कुछ करना चाहते हैं, नहीं हो रहा है, कितनी भी मेहनत कर लो, आपकी इंटेंशंस अच्छी हैं लेकिन पीपल आपको मिसअंडरस्टैंड कर रहे हैं, फेम की जगह इनफेमी मिल गई, हेल्दी लाइफस्टाइल चाहिए, कोई डिजीज़ आ गया, दिस कर्म बंधन। So therefore for our own benefit we perform our actions in such a way that we don't forget him even for a moment. We keep our consciousness fixed on him that I am doing it, this is not my house, this is his house, I am simply living as a caretaker, this is not my family, this is a gift from the Lord. So even raising a family becomes karma yoga, a devotional service, an act of devotion, when you see every individual as a part and parcel of God. And therefore I must be very sensitive to their needs, I must be taking care of them nicely, and I also must be taking care of them in a way that they are not just making material advancement, but they are also focused on spiritual advancement. That is the hallmark quality of a leader, a guru, a king, the parents. Those who are dependent on them, you make sure you make sure that they are also making spiritual progress. So then your life is sorted. Basically having his presence in your every act. कि खाना खा रहे हैं, अर्निंग कर रहे हैं, बिजनेस कर रहे हैं, फेम वगैरह है, जो कुछ भी है, कैसे उसमें भगवान को जोड़ सकें। एंड उसके लिए सिर्फ डिज़ायर होना ही काफ़ी है। इफ़ यू हैव अ डिज़ायर, then Krishna will give you all the intelligence as to how to achieve this.
Okay, Prabhuji, I think that is end of my questions for this time. But thank you so much for sharing.
My pleasure.
And बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपने बताई है, I think absorb करने को भी time लगेगा, but thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Hare Krishna.